Through the storms of colonial rule and the dawn of self-governance, one leader rose with unmatched resolve to shape the destiny of his people. Manuel Quezon. Statesman, soldier, and nation builder, he stood at the forefront of the struggle for Filipino dignity, carrying the dream of independence from the battlefield to the presidential palace. To his people, he was not just a president, he was the architect of a nation's future. Welcome to Alagend, the Legendarium of Heroes, where history's most courageous figures come alive. If you believe our past deserves to be remembered, subscribe now. Manuel L. Quezon was born on August 19, 1878, in the small coastal town of Baler, Tayabas, now Aurora. The son of a humble schoolteacher, Lucio Quezon, and Maria Molina, a devout woman of deep faith, young Manuel grew up in a home where education and integrity were prized above all. He was bright, proud, and fiercely independent, a boy destined to defy the limits of his birthplace. After completing his early education in Baler, he moved to Manila and attended Colegio de San Juan de Letran. To afford his studies, the young Quezon worked as a room and mess boy for a priest, tending to chores and serving meals in exchange for the opportunity to learn. Despite the hardships, he graduated summa cum laude with a Bachelor of Arts in 1894. Even then, he showed signs of the determination that would define his life. When the Philippine-American War erupted in 1899, Quezon, like many young patriots, set aside his academic pursuits to join the fight for freedom. Serving under the revolutionary forces, he fought with valor in the rugged terrain of Baler and the surrounding areas. He rose to the rank of major, earning the respect of his comrades for his courage and leadership, and also served as aide-de-camp to President Emilio Aguinaldo, the leader of the First Philippine Republic. Yet the overwhelming might of the American forces eventually led to his surrender. For Quezon, this was not defeat. It was the beginning of a new battle, one fought not with weapons, but with diplomacy, legislation, and the power of the spoken word. Determined to continue serving his people, Quezon returned to his studies. He enrolled at the University of Santo Tomas and earned his law degree in 1903, placing fourth in the bar examinations. His commanding presence, sharp mind, and mastery of rhetoric made him a formidable lawyer and an emerging figure in public affairs. Quezon's political career began in 1906 when he was appointed municipal president, now known as mayor of Baler. His leadership quickly earned him a reputation as a capable and charismatic leader. That same year, he was elected provincial governor of Tayabas, serving until 1909. In the First Philippine Assembly, he distinguished himself as a fiery debater and a champion of Filipino interests, paving the way for his rise to national prominence. In 1909, Quezon was elected resident commissioner to the U.S. Congress, representing the Philippines in Washington, D.C. Though he could not vote, he wielded influence through sheer eloquence and political skill. Fluent in English and deeply persuasive, he lobbied tirelessly for greater Philippine autonomy, forging friendships with powerful American legislators and shaping the path toward independence. Returning to Manila in 1916, Quezon became Senate President, a post he would hold for 19 years, the longest in Philippine history. That same year, his work in Washington helped secure the Jones Law, which declared the United States' commitment to granting eventual independence to the Philippines. As Senate President, Quezon championed social reforms, strengthened public education, improved infrastructure, and enhanced public health services. But his greatest goal remained clear: to see the Philippines free. In 1934, Quezon played a pivotal role in the passage of the Tidings-McDuffie Act, which set a 10-year timetable for full independence. The following year, the Philippine Commonwealth was born, a transitional government preparing the nation for self-rule. That same year, the nation held its first Philippine presidential election under the Commonwealth. Manuel L. Quezon faced none other than Emilio Aguinaldo, the aging revolutionary leader of the First Philippine Republic. Backed by a stronger political machinery and broad public support, Quezon won by a landslide. Aguinaldo, meanwhile, struggled to escape the shadow of history. Many still blamed him for the tragic deaths of the Supremo Andres Bonifacio and General Antonio Luna decades earlier. In contrast, Quezon represented a new era of leadership, modern, pragmatic, and unifying. On September 17, 1935, Quezon was elected the first president of the Commonwealth of the Philippines, a triumph that transformed the dream of sovereignty into a political reality. This was no ordinary political milestone. It was the turning of the tide in the nation's history. For the first time in over 3 centuries of colonial rule, Filipinos were to govern themselves under a Filipino president, a Filipino legislature, and a Filipino vision for the future. The Commonwealth was the bridge between subjugation and independence, the proving ground where a nation would learn to stand on its own. For Quezon, it was the pinnacle of decades of struggle, diplomacy, and unyielding determination. It cemented his legacy as the man who not only dreamed of freedom, but built the very framework that would carry the Philippines toward it. His name would forever be linked to the moment the Philippines took its first true steps as a self-governing nation. As president, Quezon set out to mold the nation's identity and strengthen its foundations. National language. In 1937, he championed the adoption of a unifying national language, selecting Tagalog as its base, binding Filipinos under a shared tongue. For this monumental contribution to cultural unity, he earned the title Ama ng Wikang Pambansa, the father of the national language. Land reform. He launched programs to relocate landless farmers to Mindanao, aiming to ease rural poverty. National defense. Anticipating global conflict, he established the Philippine Army with the help of U.S. General Douglas MacArthur. Social justice. He pushed for labor reforms, improved health care, and fought for women's suffrage, which was ratified in 1937. Open-door policy for refugees. In one of his most noble and humanitarian acts, Quezon opened the doors of the Philippines to Jewish refugees fleeing Nazi persecution in Europe. At a time when much of the world turned them away, he welcomed them with dignity and compassion, offering them safe haven on Philippine soil. This courageous act not only saved thousands of lives, but also stood as a shining example of moral leadership in an age of darkness. Under his leadership, the Philippines moved closer to becoming a strong, independent nation. When Japanese forces invaded in December 1941, Quezon stood beside American allies, urging resistance. He evacuated with his government to Corregidor, then to the United States, where he established the Philippine government in exile. From afar, Quezon rallied international support, insisting that the Philippines would rise again. His speeches and appeals to the Allied powers kept the cause of liberation alive. By 1944, tuberculosis had taken a heavy toll on his health. Residing in Saranac Lake, New York, Quezon continued to speak for his people until his final days. On August 1st, 1944, he passed away, just shy of his 66th birthday. He was first laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery before his remains were repatriated to the Philippines in 1946. That same year, on July 4th, 1946, the Philippines finally gained true and full independence, a milestone that Quezon himself had envisioned, fought for, and built the path toward. Though he did not live to see it, it was Quezon who had opened the gates to that moment in history, ensuring that the flag of a free Philippines would rise and never again be lowered to foreign rule. Manuel L. Quezon was more than the first president of the Commonwealth. He was the bridge between colonial subjugation and national freedom, the voice that united a people and the mind that laid the blueprint for a sovereign Philippines. In every Filipino who speaks the national language, who walks freely under the sun of an independent republic, his legacy lives on, and through the generations, his words still echo as a promise and a challenge. I have done my best for my country. If you believe Quezon's story matters and that the heroes of our past deserve to be remembered, subscribe to Alagend, the Legendarium of Heroes. Together, let us keep their legacy alive.
I walk through the fire with shadows at my heels.